Alright, so moving company is officially here.
It's so beautiful. You can hold this for events. I love this is how my house decorated. Like,
Are you kidding me?
This is my style right here. Now, what is so cool? Wait till you see the outside. Like, this is sick. Like, this is so.
I didn't even know there was a sky lounge here.
And it has a full kitchen. It's got a gas stove, so y'all can cook out here.
Oh my gosh.
And it's plastic stuff. Now, this is cool. This is a lot of different stuff.
So,
Oh, I love that.
this is amazing.
I try to do that in the morning before.
Oh,
Plants, because that breeze, that is the only reason it was like that.
Oh
it is
my
so
gosh.
beautiful when it's green. What is so cool is the cabanas have wine fridges.
No, like, we cancel culture. Like, of course, I didn't like it at the point of it happening because they want to cancel everything. Some of the shit is obviously ridiculous.
Yeah,
and then
but
it takes away from the shit that really needs to be canceled.
but you wanted to, you were butthurt because it was canceling shit that you like and that make you laugh.
Yeah, but even at the end of the day, you gotta dissect what is it that they're canceling
No,
and
totally.
who's offended and who wants it canceled. Go into that. Just don't go into like, really? I grew up on that. That
Yeah.
shit seemed normal. But the shit we grew up on that seemed normal shouldn't be normal because the only voices back then are the white men. So they're creating these cartoons, they're creating this show, and they're creating all these things that might represent us. So at the end of the day, if Pepper the Pew should be canceled, yes. Why? Because other people are looking at it as men forcing themselves on women is being delivered to children just to laugh about, and they think, oh, but it's just funny. But kids laughing about that isn't right because it desensitizes them that's laughable for a guy to force himself on a woman.
Not even that. What it does is that it trains their mind into going into kindergarten in the first grade, and now they're doing these acts because they're quote unquote funny.
Yes, but
and
it's
like
not.
you should know that I just
Or it's
love
okay.
you. I love you. That's why I'm
But
doing
that's how
this.
they think they should express themselves. And then a woman could see Pepper the Pew and think that they're warranted to get that treatment, even if it makes them feel uncomfortable. So you gotta really dissect. And just because it's a cartoon and you grew up on it, don't mean it's cool. And like even with like Speedy Gonzalez, I think Speedy Gonzalez is hilarious. I always loved it, but it's coming from a whiter writer talking about a Mexican character. Like take it into your own race. So say if a white writer talked about Puerto Rican families back then living in an apartment with 14 people, or just like all the bad stereotypes of Puerto Ricans. If a Puerto Rican made it and it's about his upbringing, it's cool. But some white man made it and it makes you look at Puerto Ricans just that way.
Exactly.
And like so, like if Mexicans are offended by Speedy Gonzalez, I feel that because it makes them look like drunk and underlay people.
You just hit a nail on the head. You said in a different form what I always say. Remember what I said about comedians making rape jokes? I said, if you lived it and you're just telling your story, I get it. You just said that. If you're writing a story, sorry, I'm drinking cold shit. And like, if you're writing stories about people and things that you've never experienced, how can you do that if you don't know those experiences and you're only doing it out of a mockery as to when a Puerto Rican is doing it? They're probably telling a fucking nice story, just like you said. But that's what people don't believe that for comedy. Why?
Because comedy is not always just about your life. Sometimes it's just observational points of views. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and so I could say the same thing about that. And then that would be, you see, that would be like another that's another debate to jump into. But since we already know art is subjective in every sense of the way, I think it's about, especially if it's going to be teaching people, because it does. Art bounces off of us. We stick to the things that we love and that change. I perceived love to be a certain type of way based on all the movies I used to watch, because they used to show me that if
man courts woman.
Yeah. I literally believed a lot of those things growing up because it was what I saw was the norm. And it was what was told to me was the norm, and it's not. It's so far from
Yeah,
it.
you
So
probably won't even approach a man because you think that, oh, that might be hoish, or the man's supposed to approach you.
yeah,
Males,
like, oh, she's too aggressive.
You're supposed to be submissive. You're
Mhm.
taught to be submissive. And that even goes back to like some Pepe Le Pew shit. You're taught that as a cartoons. Is
Mhm.
a woman should be submissive. It should be as less than, because it's created by a fucking man. So it's just like, I would just always want to like just dissect why it's being canceled, dissect why somebody's offended, and also social media gives everybody opinion now, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But it's a good thing because you're giving every race, every person an opinion, and they might be offended by a certain thing. So that's why it's a cancel culture, because everybody has an opinion, not just the people that give you NBC, ABC, these news outlets that's pretty much controlled by white supremacy and by a white man. So things are being more canceled because more people have voices of shit that might not be appropriate, whether it's their nationality, the sexuality, the anything.
And also, like I said, me and you had this conversation a year ago, and you did not agree with me then. But I want to see how you feel about it now. When it comes to, remember you used to say, no, people are just too sensitive today. And I said, no. What if things were just fucking wrong, and it was blown over because people didn't want to conform, people didn't want to change their ways, people didn't want to see the obvious. So it's not a sensitivity thing, it's just a right and wrong thing, it's just a let's fix it thing, it's just a, you know what, we've been running the country, we've been running Hollywood, we've been running it all wrong the whole time. Let's fix it now, because now it's being called out on. Now it's coming to light, and things that are coming to light have been in the light. It's just that people have kept quiet about it.
There was a one opinion to everything, and it was pretty much the white man that was feeding you the media, feeding you the government, feeding you all this stuff that we're now realizing is wrong. And you just need everybody in the mix to decide these things. Let's not act like America was just straight shit. Like, it was obviously they created something that it worked good, but there was things that was wrong with it. And people like the Republicans that want to keep things the same because it only benefits them, and they're the only one that has the say. They don't want everybody to have the say, because then shit will be equal. They don't. People don't want equal. People like their comfort, they like their status, and they don't want anything to change because they're at a certain level. People don't want to see things just get better altogether if they got what they want out of life. You know what I'm saying? Or go a blind eye to looking at shit like.
So where I want to know where you draw the line with friendships that don't align with you, like with thought processes that people have that don't align with yours. How far into it are you willing to go?
It depends. Yeah, of course, there's certain lines. It depends. What are we disagreeing on? Are we disagreeing on rape culture, or are we disagreeing on Mets and Yankees? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, obviously it's not a Mets and Yankees thing. I'm talking about when it comes to like serious topics, such as rape, murder, things like
lines, that. Yes, certain lines that I'm just not comfortable continuing that friendship if you really don't meet those type of standards. Like, you're really misogynistic, and you really don't think women should be equal, or you really think that, I don't know, certain people should have power or shit like that. Just certain moral things that I'm not willing to deal with anymore. And I don't feel like I'll have to always call it out because you're in my circle. At a certain point, why is that person in my circle? Because if you're looking at that circle from afar and you see me in that circle, you think my thoughts align with that whole circle. So
that's what I used to tell you. You know, honey, you've grown so much, because fuck that. Me and you used to have this argument so much, and you used to tell me, but trust me, but you know me. But I'm not like that. And once people get to know me, they see that I'm not like that. But you are who you chill with, no matter what the setting is.
Yeah, keep arguing with clowns, you're going to become part of the circus.
We got power again. We're going to walk De Niro, and then we're going to continue where we left off with our movie that we've been watching on Netflix.